Hi guys, Paulo Souza here with another video tutorial for Coursera's Introduction Music Production Week 4, and today we're going to be talking about dynamic processors. Dynamic processor, the main role for a dynamic processor is to manipulate the amplitude of a signal in real time by user-defined parameters. The four most common dynamic processors are compressor, expanders, limiters, and gates. And compressors and expanders, these are used for reducing and expanding the dynamic range, and limiters and gates are just like compressors, and expanders are on a very high settings. All dynamic processors have a common structure, a gain control element in the main signal path, and a sidechain containing a detector gain computer. The sidechain circuitry examines the input signal and issues a control voltage to adjust the gain of a signal path. The only difference between a compressor, limiter, expander or gate is the type of sidechain, detector the gain computer attributes, and the type of gain control elements used. As you can see, a number of parameters govern sidechain activity, but the four primary ones are threshold, ratio, attack, and release. The threshold is the point of which the dynamic processor starts adjusting the gain. The compressors and limiters work on the signal which goes above the threshold, while expanders and gates work on the signal below the threshold. Ratio describes by how much the volume changes once the signal exceeds the threshold. It is described as an input to output, and in this case of compressors and expanders can be adjusted from 1 to 1, meaning the signal is unaffected, to above 10 to 1, which represents heavy processing. Limiters and gates, on the other hand, have fixed ratio of infinity to 1. The attack defines how quickly the function responds to an increase on the sidechain input above the threshold. And for compressors, this defines how quickly the gain is turned down, where for the gates and expanders, this defines how quickly the gain is turned up. Release defines how quickly the function responds to a decrease in the sidechain input above the threshold. Again, for compressors, this defines how quickly the gain is turned back, whereas for the gates and expanders, this defines how quickly the gain is turned down. Bear in mind that, unfortunately, precise definitions for the terms attack and release does not exist. There is also 5 parameters worth mentioning, and that is GNI, which is unique to compressor. There is also 5 parameters worth mentioning, and this function controls the action at the threshold point. Using a soft knee reduces distortion caused by abrupt transitions for a unit gain to compressed signal. So let's see how all these parameters work inside a compressor working on a recording of a snare drum. So here this is an uncompressed snare sound, and I'm going to go with a ratio of 4 to 1 and set the attack and release to its fastest settings. I'm going to lower the threshold to about -11, and here already we see how the snare is being compressed. Being fast attack, fast release, the level of the snare transient is compressed. I'm going to increase and release the time, and we can see that a fast attack, slow release, compression, reduces the overall level of the snare hit. So now I'm going to increase the attack time, and we can see that a slow attack, slow release time really influences the snare sustained. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for watching.